All right, welcome to the latest episode of the Coleman Power Organic Fitness Podcast. I have my latest guest here in front of me, Con Murphy, the CEO founder of Dream Makers. Con, say hello to the listeners.
Hello to the Coleman Power family. What a joy to be here, brothers. So good to spend time with you on a Thursday evening. I don't know what else I'd be at.
Well, it's funny because these podcasts do come out on a Thursday and we're recording it also on a Thursday.
Oh, I shouldn't have said that.
Well, no, it doesn't matter. It's going to work. It'll work out in this occasion. Most people know they've podcasts that recorded live. I'm pretty sure they do know that. But Con, I brought you on because I suppose I've connected you with through, I suppose, social media, and we be someone who are on the same kind of say wavelength path.
Yeah.
Both grounded in health, and that's a little, I suppose, impromptu pointer for people that's literally what you're doing itself. So I suppose you're into, I suppose, holistic health. You're now someone who is grounded sheets for beds, and that's where we'll lean towards this podcast. But tell the listeners a little bit about where you previously were and what your background is, and then we'll kind of lean in towards that.
Cheers, buddy. Yeah, well, it's interesting. I think one of the first videos I ever saw that you put up was, I don't know how it came up on Instagram feed, but I saw you barefoot looking like an incredible hulk of a human being on the sand. And I thought, this is the kind of guy now that I think that I could connect to quite well. So that's actually how I got to know you was actually through a grounding video you had put up. It wasn't even through your organic fitness and your food and that and that side of your life. So that's how I kind of connected to you. So I'm delighted we've connected. But yeah, Coleman, in a nutshell, grounding has become like such an integral part of my life. And I sort of found grounding through, when I look back now and I reflect on it, I kind of found it through a necessity. I found it through a need. I was looking for something. I was kind of looking for a connection. I was looking for sort of just trying to enhance, my overall wellness, my experience of wellness, my connection to the earth, something a little bit more spiritual. I was working on the launch of kind of a new business concept around wellness. I wasn't quite sure where that was going to go. And whenever I was kind of struggling with it, I just thought, I need to challenge myself a little bit deeper here. So I started doing this kind of mad trending thing everyone was doing, jumping into ice baths and all this kind of stuff. But I noticed that how difficult it was, that the discipline kicked off and a deeper knowing in me, if that made sense. It sort of made me show up in the world in a different way. And I noticed 99% of the time I was barefoot. I was really loving this kind of, this connection. I was loving this feeling of just being on the ground, on the grass. And I started to notice just how it made me feel physically, mentally, spiritually. And I just sort of couldn't get enough of it. Now, I didn't overthink it and I wasn't becoming obsessive about it. But essentially the word of grounding was something that I noticed a huge amount of changes in me. Number one was I wasn't sleeping great. I was one of those people who was just racing mind at night time, couldn't switch off. I have two little toddlers there, two little bears, two fellas, I was in that world of what it's like to be a dad. I was overthinking the world, life. I was trying to show up for them. I was analyzing who I was. And I work full time in the mental health services because going into your question there about my background is as a musician. So I'm a musician, I'm a songwriter. And many moons ago, when I was sort of engaging with the world of music through community-based stuff, I noticed a trend in me that I was sort of migrating towards people who were maybe struggling or people who were finding it hard to blend in, or young people who didn't find that they could that they were, I don't know, they weren't getting the same opportunities. And so I was kind of migrating to working towards them. So I identified in myself that I was a real sort of helper, somebody who wanted to support people, help people to flourish, get the best out of themselves. And about a decade ago, I sat down with this concept and I wrote an idea called the You and Me Project, which was like a social music therapy program idea that I had. But at that time, I didn't know where it was going to go. My background is in social sciences. I had spent time in East Africa and doing volunteer trips and that kind of work. So I was very, very inspired by the bigger story of the world, if that made sense, and what humanity meant, what community meant. That I sort of came back home, and every time I came back home, I almost felt a little bit lost. And I wanted to explore the world of human rights and social care and what that meant, and sociology and the world around me. And I kept on falling back into music and music and music. So I ended up designing this program that I piloted within the Mayo Mental Health Services. And I just remember after about 4 or 5 sessions of me just trialing this one group session, the manager of the center came to me and he just literally went, I don't know what you're doing in there, but it's working so well, so I don't need to know and I don't want to know. And I was going to go, okay, that's an incredible trust to put in somebody. And it made me realize that the human connections that are out there that are trusting and that are full of that sort of energy exchange, they're actually really valued. And from that, I sort of grew this program over pretty much the last decade where I deliver and facilitate and hold a space for music to basically be experienced by people in recovery and mental health. And I suppose that segued a lot into my world of grounding, because at times myself, when I found I was in overwhelm or struggling and I was sort of seeing the world through a man's lens as a father for the first time and working in a challenging setting, I was sort of going, what am I doing to look after me? How am I winding down at nighttime? How am I switching off at night? And what is it? And it was really from getting into grounding. It was connecting to the ground. I was putting my feet in the grass and going, there's something deep rooted here. There's something tribal. Well, I feel really different. I'm not getting night sweats. I'm not getting up to pee 3 times during the night anymore. My whole, central nervous system is relaxing. So I started to look into it more. I started to read about it. I started to listen to podcasts around earthing and grounding, Clint Ober, people like that who are just sort of the godfathers of talking about the importance of grounding. Excuse me. So for me, once I began to sort of understand more deeply why I was sleeping better, why I wasn't getting sweats at night and waking up stressed, why I was much calmer and composed. Not only, I suppose, was it that discipline of me investing in me and, my ice baths and my grounding, it was actually, I started to think about, well, something biologically is happening in my body here. Something physically is happening. And that sort of brought me into the world of understanding deeper about oxidative stress in my body and why was it that I had all this inflammation in my shoulder. And, I look at you, Coleman, as someone who's into organic fitness, and I can just see, even since I started to adapt my diet from following what you do and people like Dr. Anne-Marie Eustace Ryan and really looking at that world of diet and what we put into our gut and our gut health, made me realize that how we deal with things like inflammation, stress, and all that is layers. Like grounding isn't the be all and end all, and grounding sheets aren't the be all and end all. It drew me into a world of a holistic view that what you bring to the world and your message and what people bring through breath work and meditation, that it all just sort of accumulated for me into this sort of bubble that just worked. So I didn't question it deeply. I stepped into it and I learned more about it. I learned about how oxidative stress impacts the body, why that would be causing inflammation, and why was it all of a sudden that after years and years and years of spending a fortune on osteopaths and physiotherapy and needling and things like that, that I had no pain in my body anymore. And then I learned about grounding and inflammation and how that connection to the earth and that electron transfer that goes between us. And actually, before we jumped on this call, I was out there on the hill barefoot, and I can't explain it, man. The heat that goes between you and your feet when you're stood still, that lovely transfer and that flow in your body. And what I learned about grounding was when the electrons are free flowing in your body, the oxidative stress is reduced, the inflammation is being drawn from your body, the blood viscosity kicks in where your blood is just thinned out naturally. You're essentially healing your muscles, the pains, the inflammation in your body, everything's relaxing. You're coming back to that lovely balanced state of homeostasis. So for me, in a nutshell, Dreammakers was born from that because I've always been somebody that has gone, if I have found a way in music or delivering music or experiencing music with people that they're connecting to and they're responding to and they're opening up and they're breaking down, I just feel like a calling that I have to share that. It's my mission to share that with people. So when I saw this happen to me in my body, and I was skeptical about it, I thought it was a bit, I don't know, placebo effect. I wanted it to happen so badly that it was, it was happening. And I gave it weeks and weeks and weeks and even months to trust that I was feeling different. Dreammakers was born from the whole idea that I just wanted people to feel, I wanted to share this message with them, that this is what I was experiencing, but I wanted to do it through building a community and a community conversation about, well, what's happening in the body when we're grounding? Why should we be grounding? Why is it that we've disconnected from the earth? The evolution of humanity has gone from being barefoot, connected, relying solely on the earth, like the message that you shared, that we can actually survive if we nurture the earth around us, the plants around us. If we just step into that knowledge, we can actually be well. We can be well. So that's where Dreammakers came from for me. It's where the sheets came from. So the sheets essentially represent a long-term exposure. They're a problem solver for people who might have, who want to get long-term exposure, people who say are so busy, they're racing. I see it myself in the morning, sometimes throwing a coffee and the kid is swinging off this or the wife is shouting from over there. And I was sort of going, I've got to get to work, So for me, the sheets have always represented this sort of long-term exposure. And for people maybe with disabilities or live in apartments or just live busy lifestyles, like anything, Coleman, the more that I would read your book or I learn about your message, I go, the more I'm taking this in, the more that I'm going, okay, now I understand why that plant keeps dying on me. So the longer I spend grounded, the more I realize this inflammation isn't coming back anymore. I actually, when I fall asleep, I do sleep. I'm not getting the night sweats. Geez, I haven't had night sweats in a year. And does it make sense? So the sheets for me represented this, okay, let's do it for longer. And I wanted to bring the sheets to Ireland, and I brought them to the US as well under the Dreammakers brand, because I wanted people not just to go, this is just a product, this is just a thing, it's a bit woo-woo and grand, it's this, that. I wanted people to go, well, come and join me in the community. Let's have a conversation. And by the way, when we're talking about this, well, have you heard about what Coleman is doing? Have you heard about what Gary Patterson is doing? Have you heard about Dr. Emery? All these people, have you seen what they're doing and how that might impact your life? So yeah, for me, Dreammakers represent a really big umbrella.
I suppose to even unpack it for people, it is, I suppose, something that happened naturally years ago, but we've lost connection with actually slowing down. And what you're doing is actually creating something that's not only, I suppose, that is outside, but also even to connect them from the likes of their bed to where they spend a high percentage of the likes of their day. And as you and I, business owners and everywhere else know, multitasking is absolutely brilliant.
For sure. In bed, is it? But no, but the go picture, right, though? I'm going to say a story about it, even out. Oh. But hey, but you know the funny thing is, man, and you're dead right, though. You're talking about multitasking and getting all this stuff done at once, right? The thing is, for me, I went, how do I bring this to people? And it's actually, this is funny. I asked myself the question, is it easier to get people to think about going outside and actually standing in the grass? Or is it easier to go to people, well, if you don't eat and drink and sleep, you're going to die. So they are the three things you have to do. Excuse me. So if you think about it, people have to go to sleep. So they have to lie down and they have to rest. Okay. So for me, the sheets are like the most beautiful way to invite people into the bedroom, but they're actually we're bringing the outside in with it. And it's a lovely, I use certified organic cotton, and that's so important to me. The packaging is certified recycled materials. And yes, there are mats. There's loads of different things we can use that are so wonderful for just if you don't have the time to be out there, or you're busy, or you're in an office and you want to get exposure to ground, and there's so many different ways you can do it. But for me, the sheets represent, look, let's just make it a really restful thing. We have to go to bed anyway to survive. So why not bring something to people that they're going to be lying there for, I don't know, maybe we should be there for 8 hours. I've been guilty of maybe only getting 4 or 5 every now and again. And I was given out today by my vocal coach going, well, if you're not getting 7 hours sleep, Con, your voice is not going to recover. So for me, it's just that's what it was all about with the sheets, mate, was kind of just going, right, I'm resting. And to give people that sort of double-edged sort of going, right, what you're grounding to. So when you're lying down to sleep and you're resting, what's happening in your body is it's relaxing. Your body is settling into a state of homeostasis, right? Like the natural state that we should be in. And that's when I feeding back to you about what I noticed was a simple thing of going, you'd wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you go, need to go for pee. What I've learned from grounded is that all of your organs just relax into their natural state. They're not stressed. They're just relaxed. Your body has done its
I
thing.
want to even further break it down as simply because, I'm a simple man and I remember learning about it and the whole positive, negative, and it's actually the reverse. You actually want the negative because we've two positive ions. But the question that I thought when I started off, I was like, wait, everyone else is thinking this. If one person is thinking it, 100 other people are also thinking it at the same time. So even just further break it down as simple as possible. We have a build up of and go from there.
Yes. So essentially, a lot of the stress and inflammation in our body comes from excess electrons, the excess electrical charges. So say you get a static shock off the door of the car or whatever it might be, if my understanding is correct, you need 5,000 to 6,000 excess volts in your body to have that shock, for example, right? It's the studies have been done that would show us that the biggest threat to human health is sort of that underlying inflammation that we have, that sometimes we know is there and we don't know is there. And that comes from having excess electrons in our body. So when you're grounded, when you're connected to a negative source, that settles down and all of the excess is taken out. It's why we have an earth pin in our wall, in our house, we'll say. So if your house gets hit by lightning, the TV isn't going to blow up because the earth connection will take all the excesses just after being thrown at the house and it'll bring it back down into the earth and it neutralizes it. It just brings it into a nice safe space, essentially. So we have positive and negative electrical charges in our body because we need that for our heartbeat, for our function. We are full of electricity. We're full of water. But when we have too much of it, that turns into inflammation. It basically makes us anxious. And actually, inflammation has been very closely associated with anxiety and depression, that they can associate the two together. So if you think about it like a battery, You know, we have a negative and we have a positive in the battery for the battery to function properly. So if we take off the negative off the battery, now all of a sudden the battery is sort of dangerous. It's vulnerable. If we touch something when we're holding the positive, we're going to get a shock. We're going to get hurt. The battery might leak. The cells in the battery will begin to break down and die. So if you think about that as human beings, we've all this electricity around us, EMF. As I'm talking to you here, there's lights in this room and probably where you are, there's natural light coming in beside you there. There's all this electricity and the energy when the wind is blowing is creating electricity, right? And the earth is sitting there waiting for you at this lovely negative Schumann resonance, 7.83 hertz humming away. And it's basically saying, well, if you want to sort of negate all this extra stuff and you're wired and your clothes are all static and we're just touch the ground. Because what it'll do is it, like the battery, you're putting the negative connection on and all of a sudden it's safe. And you're bringing your body down. Your body just regulates into a natural state of it just uses all the electricity it needs. If that makes sense.
Yeah, very much so. I just wanted to break it down as simple as possible for the guys and the girls that are listening to this podcast and stuff. So, was it something that you seriously struggled with yourself, or was it your partner that you said, Jesus, I want to share this, I suppose, way of, I'm going to say, grounding or lifestyle with everyone else? What first kicked you off?
In the pursuit of it all,
Yeah,
what they're looking for it, is it? Well, interestingly, it was sort of one of those things that I surrendered a little bit to the experience and to the universe around it, Coma, without trying to sound too woo-woo about it all. But I wanted to grow a community that would have a conversation around wellness, okay? Because I had a direct interest in not only for myself, but obviously in the work I do in mental health. And I was struggling with, as I said, with sleep and with inflammation. And it was when I started to do the practice myself, then I just felt so different. I felt so good. And when I researched it, it made so much sense to me. So that's kind of where the whole concept for me about building the community around grounding came from, was that I just wanted to share the message, but I wanted to do it in a way, and you're actually articulating this so well, because you're reminding me going, let's simplify this now. How do we explain this? And that's what I'm trying to do. I go, if I can grow a story around this with Dreammakers that is digestible and that people could actually take it on, hear it, understand it, trust it, then this is of value to me. So it's sort of become a bit of a calling for me. I feel it's like something I just know I'm going to be doing. It's something I feel I have to do. And if you had asked me even a year and a half ago, do you ever think you'll be out of pain? Do you ever think you'll sleep great? I would have said, you are bonkers, man. I've just submitted in my late 30s to the fact that I'm going to have pain. I'm always going to have a dodgy shoulder because I'm strumming away thousands of times a week with a guitar, you know? So it was so life-changing for me. I just knew that there was something in this. So I gave it my own validation. And I tend to do that in life, Coleman, an awful lot. You know, I take in information from people, but I don't dismiss it and I don't take it as gospel. I like to step in and experience it because that gives me personal validation. It doesn't mean that I'm going to necessarily feel it myself immediately, but I've also learned patience and discipline to commit to things and to stay committed to things and to allow myself to feel different. Does that make sense? And make that kind of judgment. So the fact that it had such an impact on me, I just wanted to share the message, and I want to continue to share the message in a really digestible way.
Yeah, I suppose one of those things that often people say is one of the best businesses is that you are trying to scratch your own itch, as I scratched my shoulder there. But the idea is that's something that you really had issues with, and now you have to, I would say, eradicating them. And is there any other, I'm going to say, maybe testimonials that you could say from the likes of clients that have previously used some of your products and go, this is now after happening because of using the likes of this grounding mats that nearly fit over, just to further simplify it, it fits under the likes of your bed sheet, but above the likes of your mattress or in between it, or what way does it sit? Fill me in on that.
As in how you use the sheet, is it? So basically the way the sheet works is you basically lie directly on the sheet. So you're connected to it. I actually have one here. And on the sheet, there's like a grid, okay? And so the grid on the sheet, if your podcast viewers can see, there's all these lines, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's basically the conductive element that connects to the earth pin only. So people kind of get lost in this thing about you plug it in. Am I going to get electrocuted here? Am I going to go on fire? No, you're not. It's not like a vampire. Open the curtains again. You go up and smoke. Not at all. It's only the earth. You're only connected to the earth, right? So it's a negative charge. It's a safe charge. It's a safe connection. So basically you lie directly on it. It's a fitted sheet that goes over your mattress. It goes over your mattress protector. You lie directly on it. And in terms of testimonials, there's two, and I'll try and take one from a male perspective and I'll give you one from a female perspective, because one thing I've noticed with the Dream Makers community is a lot of people who are engaging with it and following it are females, probably even 70, 80%. And I'm kind of going, how do I get this message across to men? Well, what is it that is of interest to men around this? And when I think of times I spent in East Africa and hiking mountains, and it was these, warriors from these tribes coming down, it was all men that were barefoot. They didn't they didn't need shoes, or if they had shoes on, they were wearing leather. It was conductive materials. But there's one chap in particular that has been trying one for me for quite a while, and he was struggling with sleep, again, pain, different things like that. And the one thing that he was focusing more on was the sleep problem. But he came back to me going, I have no pain in my upper back. I've been, training, and I've got saunas and all this. So he had this thing where he's going, I didn't realize how bad that was until it wasn't there. And again, his sleep was up and it was down and things like that. He's sort of working on that. And again, he's sort of, trialing it out. But another really interesting one was, and I had a lovely Zoom call with people in the Dream Makers community a couple of weeks ago. One lady came on and went, my husband noticed it before I did, that I wasn't like an absolute demon on my menstrual cycle for the first time ever. She goes, I just wasn't in pain. She goes, I've been using your sheet now for 10 weeks. And she goes, I'm normally I'm only a nut job. I'm a psycho when it comes up to it, I'm so ratty. And he said it to me afterwards. He went, did you realize how calm you are? And she goes, Jesus, she goes, I didn't take painkillers. I was very regular. I didn't have pain, and psychologically it didn't seem to impact her. And when you step into that then and you think about that whole natural, we're talking about the most ultimate natural cycle of the human body. For a woman is a menstrual cycle, for example. And why should it be such a painful experience? Why should it be so uncomfortable? Now, I'm not going to pretend that I know enough about it, but I have a wife and I'm a son, or I still have my mother and my sister. And I just thought to myself, it makes sense, because when grounding totally relaxes your natural state of homeostasis, your body is functioning at a prime level. It's regulating itself. It's doing everything it needs to do to get by. So this lady who's now sleeping grounded all the time, and she also goes out in the morning barefoot for maybe 20 minutes, has a coffee. That was a massive testimony for me that I would never have thought of. And I thought, this is so fascinating, because it ties into that whole world of regulation. The body self-regulates. The body manages its own pain. The body is brought into a state where oxidative stress is reduced. And what I mean by that is that electrical charge, the free radicals, you go mad around your body and everything is relaxed. So that was a huge one for me.
Yeah,
those two
I suppose
testimonials.
clients in itself are, I'm going to say, walking billboards, and what they literally will tell other people about what their experience, and in combining, I'm sure, the likes of, I'm going to say, better food choices. And that's kind of where we first kind of met through the likes of that online group that I'm currently running with food, exercise. And you were someone who was extremely active in showing people your lifestyle with, and again, see, sometimes people think, oh, Colvin, you're not exactly relatable to me. Do you know what I mean? You don't have any kids. But for you, that's the example that you're a dad, you're most certainly married with a partner, and are living a best lifestyle and a healthy lifestyle. And some of the words you said, we were chatting about, you're heading to 40, if you're not 40 already, and you're fitter than you ever were.
Completely. And that's what I mean, Coleman. And what struck me about your message in your page was that sometimes what I noticed was you get caught up in this world of, I'm a dad, and you almost feel like you're in this bubble, this world, right? And then you go, I need someone like Coleman. I need someone to remind me of where I'm at, and what does health represent? Because the healthier I am, the better dad I'm going to be. The better I'm going to sleep, the better my gut's going to feel, the less lethargic I'm going to be, the more energy I'm going to have to play with my kids. And I remember sending you videos of me doing bare chest and press ups to my kids on my back, and going, I loved it because I was inspired by watching you with, I think it was your nieces and nephews, whatever it was, and thinking, this is exactly, you're modeling the exact same thing I do, irrespective of a title of father, doesn't matter. You're actually modeling a human experience and a human knowing, and you're showing up in the world with this knowledge and you're sharing it. So for me, when I incorporated that discipline for that month of that 20 minutes exercise, really consciously buying organic food, I thought, this is what it's about for me. And it actually, in everything, like the grounding does its thing and the sheets do their thing. But if I'm going off eating 4 processed meals a night and drinking 20 pints, 40 pints a week, and I'm just like, the sheets, they're only going to do so much, bro. They're only going to do so much for me. So that's exactly how we connected. And what I've learned from you, and I actually, through you, I discovered that there was an organic farm just down the road from me, where I live, that I did not know about. And I found out about them through you. And for the summer solstice, I'm doing a talk with them around grounding, and we're all going to be barefoot, and they're doing sound bath, and they're doing yoga, they're doing food and all this. And I'm going to go magic. My kids now drink their organic milk. They're literally coming. I could reach out and touch you here, man. They're that close, and I didn't know. So you've given me that too, and that's what I mean about the beauty of the connection through these conversations. You know,
Name out that farm and remind me of the one again that you're located very close.
boy, oh boy, the raw milk. Oh, Mountain Boy,
Yeah.
boy, the raw milk. Yeah,
Can't beat that, and that happens all across Ireland. And I suppose it's nearly a pinch me kind of moment. I going, yes, there's somebody literally getting something closer that they already were consuming, but now it's even better, and it's traveled less miles and it's better for them. I suppose that's the whole emphasis of why what I do and what you do is so rewarding in itself. Right, and Colin, I'm super conscious of your time. I thank you so much for coming on this podcast. I want you to tell me where's the best place for people to reach out to you directly if you want to know more about different talks or events and or your grounded and muscly sheets.
the best place to get me is because we're growing the community is on Instagram. So it's Dream Acres. Dream, the word dream, but ACRES. So think of land, think of Dream Acres. Okay, because often it can be makers. Okay. So that's a great place to get me. Also, the sheets themselves, they're available on Amazon US, but we're going to be launching in partnership soon with Intersport Elveries, which is wonderful because, again, a lovely, homegrown family, local company who really care about people's well-being. They're a wonderful company, and they're supporting me with the launch in Ireland. So you can actually go on a wait list there through their website. If you look at Intersport Elveries and Dream Acres, you can literally join up for a wait list there, which is super. So you'll be notified when they're here. We're hoping for mid-July. But comment through the Instagram, Dream Acres, link in there. I really want to build a community here. I want to build a conversation. I want to share a broader story. And that's where I would love people to link in with. So, and I'm so grateful to you for your time, mate, and to talk to your followers and all that is super.
Right, Con, thank you. Mind of information, and the idea is I always end these podcasts by saying stay tuned, stay classy, and keep it organic.
Thank you, brother.